If your conditional formatting formula looks correct, but nothing highlights, the issue is usually not the logic. It's the reference. Conditional formatting evaluates your formula from a specific starting cell. And if that anchor is off by one row or one column, your rule can be perfectly written and still fail. The second common cause is mixing and or in a way that changes the meaning. The third is dollar signs, locking the wrong part of the reference so the rule checks the wrong cells. In this breakdown, you'll get a simple mental model: one active cell, one formula, copied across the applied range. Once you think of it like that, most not working cases become predictable. We'll cover and or patterns, relative versus absolute references, and the fastest way to debug a rule without guessing. By the end, you'll be able to fix rules that seem random, inconsistent, or completely dead. Next step. First, lock in the mental model Excel uses. Conditional formatting does not evaluate each cell with a separate formula you typed for that cell. You type one formula once, and Excel reuses it across the entire applies to range. The key is the top left cell of that range. Excel treats your formula as if it was written in that top left cell, then it adjusts references as it moves through the range. That means a reference like A2 is not A2 forever. It's the cell that is 2 columns left and same row, depending on where the rule is being applied. If your applies to range starts at B2, but your formula assumes it starts at A2, everything shifts. This is why rules often work for the first row but break later. Your job is to align three things: the applies to range, the active cell you started from, and the relative references inside the formula. Next step. Now let's talk about the most common mistake: writing the formula for the wrong cell. A quick example. Suppose you want to highlight rows where the value in column D is greater than 100. If your applies to range is A2G100, the formula should typically reference D2, not D1, and not $2, unless you mean always check the same cell. The row number matters because Excel will copy that formula down. If you accidentally write $2, you lock the row, and every row checks D2 only. If you write $D2, you lock the column, which is often correct for check column D for each row. The best habit is this: decide what should move when the rule is applied. Should the column move? Should the row move? Then place $signs only on the parts that should not move. Next step. Here's a practical way to choose $signs without overthinking. If you're formatting an entire row based on one column, you usually want the column fixed and the row relative. That's $D2, not D2, and not $D2. If you're formatting an entire column based on one row, you usually want the row fixed and the column relative. That's D$2. If you're comparing every cell to a single threshold cell, like comparing values to H1, then you want $H$1, so it never moves. Where people get burned is locking too much. They add $signs to be safe, and the rule stops responding as it fills across the range. Another common burn is locking the wrong side of a comparison. For example, locking the lookup value but not the range, or vice versa. The rule still evaluates, but it evaluates the wrong cells. Next step. Let's move into and or, because this is where formulas look right but behave wrong. And means every condition must be true. Or means at least one condition must be true. The tricky part is that people often intend something like status is open and amount is high or due date is soon, but they write and status equals open, amount greater than 1,000, due date today plus 7. That's a different rule. It requires all three. The fix is nesting. And status equals open, or amount equals 1,000, due date today plus 7. Another trap is mixing and or without parentheses. In Excel formulas, and or are functions, so parentheses define grouping. If you don't group, you don't get operator precedence like in math. You just get whatever you nested. So when a highlight seems too strict or too loose, it's usually grouping, not Excel being inconsistent. Next step. Another and or issue is that blanks and text can quietly flip your logic. For example, or A2 equals A2 B10 will return true for blanks, which might highlight empty rows you wanted to ignore. With and, a blank can fail a numeric test, and your entire rule becomes false. A solid pattern is to explicitly handle blanks first. If you want to ignore blanks, add a condition like A2 less than OH inside AND. If you want blanks to count as 0, use NA2 or if A2 equals 0, A2, depending on your situation. Also watch out for numbers stored as text. A2 greater than 10 might not behave the way you expect if A2 is 12 as text in some datasets. Conditional formatting uses the same evaluation rules as formulas, so cleaning inputs or coercing with value can be the difference between works sometimes and works reliably. Next step. Now let's cover the applies to range mismatch because it's a silent killer. You can have the perfect formula, but if the rule is applied to the wrong range, Excel evaluates it from the wrong anchor. This often happens when you copy and paste formatting or when you insert rows and the applies to range doesn't expand the way you assumed. A quick diagnostic is to ask, what is the top left cell of the applies to range, and does my formula reference the correct row and column relative to that cell? If your applies to starts at A1, but your data starts at A2, your formula is offset. Another common mismatch is applying a row-based formula to a single column or applying a single-cell formula to a multi-column range. The rule still runs, but the references shift in ways you didn't intend. Fixing the applies to range often fixes everything instantly. Next step. Here's a reliable debugging method that saves time. Take the conditional formatting formula and paste it into a normal worksheet cell as a test, using the same row you're trying to format. The result should be true when you expect highlighting, and false when you don't. If it's returning an error, conditional formatting will usually treat that as no format, which looks like the rule is ignored. While testing, replace structured references or named ranges with direct cell references if needed, just to simplify. Also check whether you're using the correct formula type. For conditional formatting, we usually want a formula that returns true or false, not a value you plan to compare later. And if your formula uses relative references, test it in multiple rows by copying it down. If it flips unexpectedly, your dollar signs are wrong. Debugging becomes mechanical when you force the formula to reveal its true-false behavior. Next step. Let's talk about a classic scenario, highlighting duplicates or matches using COUNTIF. The formula pattern is simple, but references are where it breaks. If you want to highlight duplicates within A2 A100, you might use COUNTIF $A2 $A100 $A2 to 1. Notice what's locked. The range is fully locked because you want to count within the same fixed list every time. The criteria cell A2 is relative because each row should check its own value. If you accidentally write COUNTIF A2 $A100 A2 1, the range shifts as the row moves, and duplicates near the top might not be counted for rows near the bottom. You'll get inconsistent highlighting that looks random. The same logic applies to SUMIF, AVERAGEIF, and even match. Lock the lookup range. Let the current row value move. Next step. Another common case is comparing two columns, like flagging when actual exceeds budget. If you apply formatting to A2 G100, but your comparison is in columns E and F, the safest pattern is to reference them with fixed columns, equals E2 plus F2. That way, regardless of which column within the row is being formatted, the rule always checks E and F for that row. If you forget the dollar signs and write equals E2 plus F2, then when Excel evaluates the rule in column G, it shifts the comparison to G2 plus H2, which might not even exist. Then the rule stops working for some columns. This is the clearest example of why relative references are not wrong. They're just literal. Excel is doing exactly what you told it to do. Your job is to tell it what should stay fixed as the format spreads across columns. Next step. Now let's cover dates, because they create subtle failures. If you're using a condition like due date today, it should be a clean true-false test. But if your due dates are text or include time values, the comparison can misbehave. A date with a time, like 2026, 0510, 1500, is actually greater than the same date at midnight. So due today might not highlight as overdue until the next day. A practical fix is to compare int due date to today, which strips the time. Another issue is blanks. int blank returns 0, which looks like a very old date, and it will highlight as overdue unless you exclude blanks. So a safer pattern is and $D2 $D2 equals today. Dates are powerful in conditional formatting, but they reward explicit handling of blanks and times. Next step. Let's address errors and why they make rules look dead. If your formula returns #NA, #value, or #div0, conditional formatting typically won't apply the format. So if you're using VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, match, or division, you need to decide what errors should mean. If not found should be treated as false, wrap the test with if error. For example, if error match A2, H2 $H50 000 false. That returns a clean true false instead of #NA. If errors should be highlighted, you can test for them directly with isError or isNA. The key is, conditional formatting likes logical outputs. When you feed it an error, you're not getting partial credit. You're getting no format, which feels like Excel ignored you. Next step. One more advanced pitfall. Mixed references with tables, named ranges, and structured references. Conditional formatting can handle them, but debugging gets harder because the anchor logic is less obvious. If a rule breaks after converting a range to a table, test the underlying references. Sometimes a structured reference points to the entire column when you intended the current row only. In those cases, switching to a simple cell reference pattern can stabilize the rule.
Named ranges can also be relative or absolute depending on how they were defined.
A name that was created while a specific cell was active might behave like a relative reference, which surprises people.
If your rule works on one sheet but not another, check whether the name is workbook scoped or sheet scoped.
When in doubt, simplify. Use explicit $$A$A100 ranges first, then refactor back to names once it works. Next step. To wrap this up, here's the checklist that fixes most conditional formatting formula problems. First, confirm the applies to range and identify its top left anchor cell. Second, rewrite the formula as if it's being evaluated in that anchor cell. Third, decide what should move, rows, columns, or neither, and place $signs accordingly. Fourth, validate your logic grouping by nesting and or the way you actually mean it. Fifth, test the formula in a worksheet cell and make sure it returns true and false cleanly, not errors. If you do those 5 steps, conditional formatting stops being mysterious. It becomes a predictable system. If you want more Excel deep dives like this, subscribe. And for a quick check-in, comment with your biggest conditional formatting pain point, and or logic or $sign references. Subscribe to keep optimizing your workflow and get back more of your time.